So, how many of you are aware about the incident with Jamie Carragher and the African Cup of Nations?
No idea. No clue.
Give us a little.
So, long story short, because it's been dragging on for about a week and a bit now. Yeah. Liverpool played Man City, beat Man City 2-0. Mo Salah had an unbelievable game. They was talking about winning the Ballon d'Or.
Best player in the world.
And yeah, which is the best player in the world. The award for best footballer in the world.
So we're talking about football for people who are not.
Exactly. Mo Salah being Egyptian. So Jamie Carragher made a comment and he said one of the reasons why Mo Salah would not win the Ballon d'Or or would have difficulty is because the AFCON is not recognised by voters as a major tournament.
It wasn't exactly word for word what he said.
That's exactly what he said. I'm reading exactly what he said. It was not recognised by voters as a major tournament. He said, I think the problem with that is the fact he plays with Egypt. He's probably got, not playing in the major tournament as such, probably got more of a chance of winning Champions League, major tournament, etc., etc. Daniel Sturridge and Mika Richards turned around and then had a go at him and stressed, no, AFCON is a major tournament. And he's got a lot of flack from people all over the world, whether they be footballers or whatever, to say that his comments are dismissive of the African Cup of Nations. He was saying that the African Cup of Nations doesn't hold any highlights, that they're not any, it's not viewed highly, it's not prestigious.
It wasn't exactly what he was trying to say as he came out with an apology. Well, not even an apology. He refined his statement only last night on Paramount show. So yes. he kind of refined it and said, you know what I mean, I understood what he was trying to say in the first place.
Elaborate what you understood then.
From my understanding of what I know, he's kind of he said the same thing pretty much last night. Basically, it's where it's regarded in a sense of how highly it's regarded, the tournament. You've got the World Cup, which is creme de la creme. That's the top trophy. Then you've kind of got the European Championships. You've got a lesser, on the next step would probably be the Copa America, which is the Americans that do the South Americans that do their version of the European Cup. All right. And then after that, it would be, there's the Asia Cups, there's the Gold Cup, and there's the AFCON, all right? Which are, to a degree, they're viewed as a lesser...
Lower tiers.
Yeah, the lower tiers. So this is what he was trying to get at, to say the European and the Copa America are regardable. And one of the other reasons he stated in his statement was the Ballon d'Or is used to be known as the European best player, the Europe's best player. So it would be more favourable to a lot of the European players rather than the South Americans, the Africans, and anyone else around the world.
Just to be clear as well, that's talking about, it used to be the European Football of the Year.
Yeah.
You could be from any background, but you played in Europe. It's now...
Yeah, now it's changed.
Yeah.
So he said that they view it slightly different. And all he was trying to say is the view, and he said that Mo Salah would find it difficult because he's the biggest advocate at the moment, saying that Mo Salah deserves the Ballon d'Or. He's saying he deserves to get it, an African deserves to get it. But what he was saying was that it will be hard for him to get it because the AFCON isn't recognised as highly as the European Championship or as highly as the World Cup or as highly as the Copa America.
So as somebody who's not a football head, and I will put this out there, listening to this from an outside view of football, first of all, I would say, I think, without even knowing the full story and knowing how the grading of football and everything, I think that's a disrespectful statement to make. And the reason why I would say that as somebody who's not in football is, A, are we talking value of football, as in physical money? B, are we talking about his skill as a player? Because it doesn't matter, to me anyway, it doesn't matter if you play in the World Cup or if you play five-a-side football. If you are the best in that and you've progressed the best in that arena that you're in, he doesn't play for the World Cup. So it doesn't matter if...
It does. It means you're not being challenged. It means that you're not playing with the best.
Listen to what I said though. In that arena that you're in.
No. There's the best basketballer on this planet doesn't play in the NBA. Are they recognised?
Well, globally they won't be, but
they won't be recognised. If you don't play in the NBA, nobody's going to sit there and say to you that you're the best basketballer on the planet.
That's not... So
maybe the best basketball on the planet ever.
Right.
Give me a top 20 if you want.
Let's do it this way then. Let's do it this way. Who's the best boxer?
At the moment?
Yeah.
Probably Terence Crawford. He's pound for pound.
Worldwide, you're saying...
Pound for pound, Terence Crawford.
How many people do you think you would meet in public and say that name to them and they would know who you're talking about?
There's quite a few that would know, but Terence Crawford he's not as well known as probably Canelo Alvarez, who's more of a face of boxing.
And that's the point I'm making. So the environment or the circle that you're in, you can only be as good or you can only be as public or as popular as the environment that you're in, the crowd that's around you. Same thing with women's football.
Right. So the issue really wasn't even so much the comments he made. It was the way that he made his face and a certain way that he was behaving when he was making his comments.
Like disgusted.
And what it was, it stank of colonialism. The colonialism idea that anything from those regions cannot be viewed as anything good.
So I didn't see it. So give me.
So what happened was when Mika Richards and Daniel Sturridge, two black former footballers, pundits now, who had said, actually, the AFCON is a major tournament. And he said, just to correct you, AFCON is a major tournament, etc., etc. He made his face like that. Like that. Very dismissive. Really? Now the issue was, it wasn't so much more about just what he said, because you can be clumsy. And he said he said in his apology, in his statement, that he was clumsy with what he was saying. Yeah. But it's not so much just about what you say, it's about how you say something. If I apologize and my apology does not look sincere, my apology is just words. The fact of the matter was, it wasn't just the words of what he said, it was also how it was conveyed across. And the problem with it was that it was, like I say, it stank of like a colonialism idea of Britain is here, everyone else is below.
No, I disagree.
But the problem is, just to close on that, you can't say no, it wasn't, because the African footballers who took offence, that is what they said.
Well, a quick question.
Go on.
In regards to the Ballon d'Or or what you're talking about, what is the relevance of AFCON and Mo Salah anyway?
Right. Mo Salah plays for Egypt.
Yep.
The point being is Jamie Carragher's view was that the reason why he may struggle to win the World Player of the Year is because he plays for Egypt, who won't win the World Cup, and he plays in the AFCON. His words actually were, Egypt don't play in any major tournaments.
Okay, right. But what
totally dismissing the African Cup of Nations.
Right, but why? So he plays in African Cup of Nations. Is he the best player in the African?
He's one of the best, yeah.
Is he the top goal scorer?
He's one of the best players.
I know that, but I mean, is he the top player?
He's the best player in Africa. He's the best African player.
He is so that's
consistently one of the best players in that tournament. He is consistently one of the best players from Africa.
Him and AFCON, okay, that's what I'm trying to understand.
Consistently. So, but the point...
I wanted to say something.
Go on.
If Jamie Carragher was a black man saying that, would there be so much outrage? Because I still don't think his statement was entirely incorrect. I mean, like I said, he clumsily put it out there, and the way it was put out and facial expression, I'm like, that looks a bit messy. And to be honest with you, shouldn't be something that you're saying. And that's more what I would probably say.
And he said it's on international TV.
Yeah, on Sky. But then on the other side of it, all right, it was more a case of what he said. How wrong was he? The standard of football between how many people can win the European Cup and the World Cup, obviously. Even to a lesser degree, even the Copa America, the standard of football is totally different to say, for example, the AFCON and the African nations. You've got probably about 3 or 4 African teams, African nations that are top, and then you've got the other ones that are medium, and then you've got the other ones that it's just like, well, they're taking part, and that's the way that they view it.
Numbers.
Yeah, that's the way that they view it.
Who is they?
Well, that's the way it's been viewed, isn't it?
Who is the they?
All of the Western world, if you want to put it that way.
And there's your answer.
All right, would see it that way. Well, I'm only going to talk from the Western world because that's where we live, innit? I've got to vocalize that side of it.
But that is the point that is being made by many people. That yes, it's being said by the Western world, which is a colonial world.
But then who votes the Ballon d'Or? Everybody. It's the same Western world, which is what the point is, that they're not going to view it as any different because the people that are doing the votes, sort of the main people that do the votes, are all westernized, and they're only seeing it the same way that he just made it, which was his point. And that's all I was saying. I don't disagree with his actual point.
But if he's in a point of power, he should then be helping to then elevate it to make it be seen.
It's not. He's not in a position of power to do anything.
Well, he is, because if he's on Sky and he's
making those comments.
You're making that kind of comment.
But right, there's loads of things wrong with the African Nations is usually held in the middle of a season in January, because all the other teams are still playing. So it's not focused upon how the European Championship is and how the World Cup is and even how the Copa America is when it's played out of season, where everybody's focus will be more on saying, well, there's no football. We're not watching club football. We're going to watch them. They're not being taken from their teams, and everybody's sitting there going, I can't wait till the African players that we've got in our team, the Mo Salahs, are coming back to our team, because he's now missing for the next 3 to 4 weeks. So we just want him to get knocked out. Right. As soon as you get knocked out, you can come back home. Like, that's the way they see it.
I don't want to elongate this conversation, but I do need to correct you with something. And someone's actually said my point in the comments as well, which is that the last World Cup was played in Qatar. That was played
and it was in the middle
mid-season.
of the season. But they cut off the whole season.
And the reason why it was played mid-season was because of the temperature in that country was so hot in any other time of the year. What we're now expecting is that from what you're saying, the reason why people would have an issue with it is that the Western world should dictate to African countries where temperatures will be above 30 degrees come the summertime to say, you know what? Make the players play in unplayable conditions so our season can continue with these players playing in them.
Or you do exactly what happened in Qatar. They cut the whole season. Everybody's season was cut.
And this is the point, is that it is not valued or respected as much. So the point that people are taking issue with is that it is a colonial viewpoint. That is the issue people have. It comes across like a colonial view, and that is where you got Rio Ferdinand, you got JJ Okocha, you got John Obi Mikel. They've said a lot of harsh things about Carragher, but ultimately, I totally agree with their points. And people, like some of the comments, people are even saying it, ignorance, very high. Ignorance is bliss, but it was
clumsy, but
I don't think it was clumsy.
The point was made.
I don't think
it, like if you go back a few years where, and even in the Copa America used to only have two teams that could win it. It was either Argentina or it was Brazil. In I suppose in the European eyes, it was like those were the two big teams. Or you had Uruguay there. You had Chile wasn't really even about doing anything much then. So it was on Colombia wasn't doing much either. All right. So you looked at it was Brazil and Argentina. So it wasn't really. There was a lot of like. There's no competition there. So when you look at the AFCON, the AFCON's grown. It's got a lot better and it's got a lot more publicised. But it's still not where the European Championships is, the World Cup, or even the Copa America is.
But then this is the ignorance, because you've just displayed exactly the ignorance that we're talking about, because Chile won it twice in a row, Colombia won it a couple of times, and Uruguay won it a couple of times. And I'm not talking like recently, I'm talking over a long period of time.
Yeah,
but
but
the viewpoint of the Western world is that it is only those two countries. But that's sort of the viewpoint of that culture, which slides right into the topic for this week.